We're here. Hi. This is Chris Walden broadcasting live again from South by Southwest 2012 in Austin, Texas. Just went to a really interesting program by Matthew Diffie. Now, for most of us, I was not really familiar with his work. He's a cartoonist for the New Yorker, which has a very specific audience. I'm a little bit more of the well, doesn't matter what kind of crowd I am. But very creative guy, and his work requires him to actually come up with 10 different ideas on a regular basis, out of which one of these ideas may actually be accepted. So he's got to constantly crank information out. It's I see people taking good care of us back there at South by Southwest. See, now on a regular setup, we would have cut that out, but this is live, so I'm going to keep going. But what he was talking about was the creative process. It's a very challenging thing. A lot of us are creative in what we have to do. We've got to keep ideas coming out if what we're going to do, otherwise we're just doing the grunt work, right? So how do you keep that going? He had a few things. I got my notes here, so pardon me if I go through this. I don't have a teleprompter. We're just having to do this wild. One of the key things is mindset. Did you know that if you don't believe you're creative, you are right? You're never going to get there. And so if you're someone who has to come up with new ideas, a different approach to doing something, first thing is believe that you can. Believe that you're going to get to the other side of that work. What you know has a lot to do with it. He said, you know, he came at it all from a cartooning background, but he tried to come up with some other examples. If you are someone who wants to write novels, well, you should probably read some novels. You need to get yourself immersed in the kinds of things that you want to be able to express yourself on. Otherwise, you don't have the tools that you need to draw on to be able to apply that creativity. It's more than just ideas, it's being able to see the connections and the applications of the ideas that you come up with. He talked about emotions. A lot of people, what defeats them in that creative process is fear. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to come up with a good idea. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to see this all the way. I'm afraid someone might say no, and then, well, you're done. You can't make it happen. So you got to be able to overcome that fear. And you also can't get so wrapped up in the idea that if it doesn't work out, if it doesn't get rejected, that just doesn't take you down, that you can go ahead and keep going with the next idea. And he talked also about, he called it character. He talked about discipline. You got to have a process that you follow, a regular approach to doing things, and you got to get it done. You got to open up and make that happen. Now, he had a process that I thought was very interesting. I'm going to spend some time working with this myself. He says that he takes a point during the day, a predictable time where he is going to devote that time to creativity. And then he sits down with a blank sheet of paper and a full pot of coffee, and he empties his coffee and he fills the page. I relate to that. And it wasn't neat. He showed us an example of one of these sheets, and it was just scribble all over the place and ideas leading to other ideas. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't the sort of thing you'd show someone unless you were trying to give them a behind-the-scenes look. It needed a lot more polish to be able to take it further. But that creative time is private time. In fact, he talked about the importance of getting yourself in a situation where you close that door, you close yourself away from the distractions, and you just make it time between you and your brain. How do you come up with creative ideas? You think of them. And of course, IBM, think, has been the slogan there for a long time. I still get stuff that has think written on it. The original ThinkPad was a notepad that had think written on it. And it's amazing that with that as the culture, how we get so tied up in all the little things. I got to write these emails, I got to have these conference calls, I had to do this, that, and the other. And we don't set aside time to think. So you got to make that a discipline, take time, put it in your day, and make it a priority. I'm going to spend this hour. He said that you should spend an hour because it takes a while to warm up into things. Even at his level, someone who cranks these things out all the time, he still has to warm himself up to get into what he called the zone where those ideas start flowing. And I can't imagine that we would be any better. There's some other ideas here about the process. I may try and get those into a blog entry if I have some time. I may not be able to get to it until after South by Southwest because I am just running and running and running. Have new insoles in the shoes today. Much happier. Sunshine, no rain. We talked about that. The one thing that I will cover that I think is really important is this idea of rejection. If you are in a creative process, not every idea is going to work. In fact, most of them won't work. But you have to, in that discipline, get into the idea that you are going to have enough ideas that some of them will survive. You can let some of them go, and that's okay, because some of them are definitely going to survive. You have to assume that your ideas aren't necessarily going to be the best. You know, they need some contribution, they need some polish, they need something to make them go. And if they're not the right idea, that's okay. That's not the end of the world. Creativity should be fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And you got to be persistent. It may take you years to get into the point where you can be consistently and confidently creative, but you can't give up on yourself. You got to keep doing it and make it happen. So I'll try and do some more. I'll get through these notes a little bit later. I'll be able to tell you about flipping the funnel and all that other fun stuff he said. In the meantime, I thought another relevant, very relative thing coming from another art form that applies directly to the kind of things that we do in technology. If you just getting in there and getting the work done, you're not moving forward. And with all the new things that we got to deal with, all of the different opportunities we have to apply technology, all the new problems people are inventing for us, you got to be able to look at this creatively, because if you don't do it, your replacement will. This is Chris Walden. We'll talk to you later from South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. See ya.